Ever felt like giving up on something because it just seemed too tough or the results weren't coming fast enough? Well, I've been there, especially with my art studies. In this video, I want to share how James 1 verse 2 to 9 became my anchor during those frustrating moments, helping me push through and develop some unique shorthand techniques for drawing anatomy, particularly for those tricky areas like the knee joints. So let's dive into how God's wisdom got me through. Last week was rough. I barely managed a few anatomy studies. As you see in the background, that's the footage from those sessions. Every time I sat down to draw, I was overwhelmed by thoughts of what's the point? Should I be doing something more productive? When I took breaks, the cycle continued. I'd overwhelm myself with options. Should I be working on my YouTube channel or applying for more jobs? Every choice felt like a waste of time. I'd try find inspiration on YouTube videos, only to fall back into doubt once I started working again. It was draining. I questioned whether I was lazy or just undisciplined, but realizing that didn't change anything, knowing you're lazy doesn't help you become more disciplined, I was stuck. That's when the grace of God stepped in. Earlier that day, I had read James chapter 1, and it all started to click.
Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you encounter trials of many kinds. For the testing of your faith develops perseverance. James 1 verses 2 to 3.
I was in the middle of a trial, doubting my work, overwhelmed by decisions, and losing faith in myself. But the passage reminded me that perseverance is key, and it leads to maturity and completeness. Then came James 1 verse 5.
If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all.
I needed wisdom, and I needed it fast. But James doesn't stop there. He warns against doubt.
But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because he who doubts is like a wave of the sea.
That hit hard because I was doubting everything. My art, my career, even my next move. I felt like the very person James describes as double-minded, tossed around by every decision I made. And James is pretty blunt.
That man should not expect to receive anything from the Lord.
That could have crushed me, but instead, I knew I had to wrestle with God for clarity. I realized I was doubting my choices, not God. So I prayed for wisdom, not about success, but about what I should focus on. God doesn't promise success, but He does promise wisdom if we ask. After praying, I didn't get a lightning bolt of clarity, but I did have some peace. I also remembered,
whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for men. Colossians 3 verse 23. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with your might. Ecclesiastes 9 verse 10.
those verses reminded me that it's not about guaranteed results. It's about doing my work with excellence, trusting God with the outcome. I'd applied for jobs, and so now it was time to focus on my art studies. And with that clarity, I found the joy in my work again. By the end of that study session, I'd come up with my own shorthand techniques for drawing challenging parts of the human body, like the legs. I was able to enjoy the process free from the pressures of needing instant success. That's when I realized I was living out James 1 verse 2 to 4. The trial had brought perseverance, and perseverance had led me to growth. This wasn't the last time I'd faced doubts, but now I'm better prepared. If you're feeling overwhelmed by choices or doubts in your own journey, I encourage you to remember this. Don't rely on yourself. Seek God's wisdom, trust Him with the outcome, and focus on doing your work with excellence. As James promises, God gives generously to those who ask in faith. Thank you for watching. I hope this video encourages you to push through your own trials, trusting that God is with you every step of the way.